Welcome to WHRO's Weekly Edition. I'm Jordan Christie.
And I'm Barry Graham.
We highlight the week's news and stories happening all over Hampton Roads. Today, we dig into these stories and more. The Department of Justice launched an investigation into William and Mary University for possible civil rights violations. The Trump administration opened similar investigations into George Mason University and the University of Virginia.
A federal judge ruled that Shenandoah County must remove Confederate names from 2 schools in its district. WHRO reports what it could mean for Hampton Roads schools with similar naming conventions.
And high housing costs are hurting seniors, so local leaders are suggesting people spare bedrooms as a potential solution. It's WHRO's Weekly Edition. The future aircraft carrier USS Kennedy is inching closer to being ready for the Navy. WHRO's Steve Walsh shares what needs to happen before the ship can fully set sail.
Huntington Ingalls Industries recently announced that the future USS John F. Kennedy completed its second round of sea trials in the waters off of Hampton Roads. The Navy will now begin its testing on the new carrier. It's the second Ford-class aircraft carrier and is scheduled to be turned over to the Navy in March of 2027. The date has been pushed back several times over the years. The announcement comes as the Trump administration contemplates drastic changes to the Ford-class carriers, including reworking the ship's design to incorporate older steam catapults to launch aircraft. A recent executive order tells the Navy to abandon the electromagnetic system, which is already in use on USS Gerald R. Ford and is already installed on the Kennedy. Steve Walsh, WHRO News.
The Department of Justice is investigating William and Mary for possible civil rights violations. WHRO's Ashley White reports it's the latest in a string of university investigations by the department.
The DOJ says it is looking into whether William and Mary used students' race when awarding scholarships and program spots. It cited several programs at the Williamsburg-based school that it said could be violating federal law. That included a need-based fellowship that gives preference to Hispanic and Latino women and a scholarship that gives preference to law students who graduated from a historically black college or university. William and Mary said in a statement it was reviewing the information from the DOJ and does not comment on pending legal matters. Under President Donald Trump, the DOJ has launched several investigations into other colleges across the nation, including George Mason University and the University of Virginia. The administration is focused on programs, scholarships, or trainings that prioritize diverse and underrepresented students. Ashley White, WHRO News.
Bayview Physicians Group is telling their patients what they can expect from a Medicare program after some patients were surprised by a new monthly charge. WHRO's Yiqing Wang gives us the latest.
A message sent through Bayview's patient portal says its advanced primary care management program includes care coordination, medication review, and 24/7 access to a care team. But multiple patients told WHRO their care has not changed since Bayview began billing for the Medicare-linked program.
I didn't see any difference in terms of the very same stuff we had, which was a portal and a annual visit is the same thing I got after I was enrolled into this program.
That's David Hartley, a former patient with Bayview. He says Bayview dropped him after he chose to leave the program, which had been billing him just under $10 a month. Bayview did not respond to a request for comment. Yiqing Wang, WHRO News.
Stick around for a special report on the growing sea turtle nest populations in the Outer Banks. That feature story comes from WHRO's Catherine Hafner. But first, new types of war are forcing the military to supply troops with new types of meals. Jay Price of the American Homefront Project visited some soldiers as they tried the latest approach to feeding troops in combat.
On the front lines of World War II, there were the famous canned sea rations with main courses like meat and vegetable stew and cans of dense crackers. In recent wars, there were the meals ready to eat, or MREs, with components packed into a tough plastic pouch and years of shelf life. Those are still widely used, but now...
That's actually really good.
A new ration designed for modern battlefields is starting to reach some units.
Have you tried this?
That's a squad of special operations soldiers trying the new close combat assault ration, which, like all things military, has an acronym, CCAR. They're taking a break in the middle of a pine forest at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, after a humid 8-hour slog testing their land navigation skills, and they're happy to get time to eat before their next task.
That might be one of the best snacks I've had.
The new rations are designed for conflicts in which getting supplies to small, widely dispersed units is made harder by tech-savvy opponents, like the current drone-infested front lines of the war in Ukraine, or fighting China across island chains in the Pacific. That kind of combat could mean going days without a chance for resupply, so making food lighter and smaller is crucial. Aaron Gaffney Stomberg leads the Combat Feeding Division at DEVCOM Soldier Center in Natick, Massachusetts, which develops rations for all the services.
The ration platforms that were available were too large to meet that need. And so this development really came from that shift in defense strategy and the requirements that the user community had for the future.
The CCAR is the replacement for what's called the First Strike ration, which was designed for short missions lasting no more than 72 hours. 5 days of the new rations has the same volume as 3 days of first strikes. Gaffney Stomberg said testing shows troops tend to take in more calories with the CCARs, which helps them perform better in missions that burn a lot of energy. That's partly because of the CCAR's fat levels and partly about their taste.
The warfighters did prefer some of the components or individual food items that were in the close combat assault ration compared to the first strike ration.
The latest science on sports nutrition was a starting point, but she said the Army had to go deeper, looking at differences in dietary needs between athletes and troops in combat who are more likely to have additional stressors like sleep deprivation and chaotic environments. And it all had to be done in a way that made the CCAR palatable, because nutritional content doesn't matter if the troops aren't eating it. An informal sampling of the soldiers in the woods at Fort Bragg suggests it hits that goal.
I thought the breedable was a lot better quality.
That's Nick, a sergeant who, because of his unit, can only be identified by his first name. He especially likes that the CCAR includes a lot of small components like bars and packets of trail mix.
That way when you're moving through the field, you can pull those out and kind of keep them in a pocket, so it's easier nutrition per se.
Some in the group said they wished for less sugar, but a sergeant named Alexa said after her hard efforts that morning, the recipes seemed about right.
I needed the sugar that has a lot of calories for days like this.
So what did you eat so far?
I ate the trail mix and the almond coconut nut bar. I also ate the cookie, oatmeal cookies.
As small and light as the CCAR is, the Army experts aren't done with trying to improve future field rations. Lately, they've been working with a production method called vacuum microwave drying. One result is a rectangle of compressed vegetables infused with honey mustard dressing that's been dubbed the salad bar. I'm Jay Price reporting.
Chesapeake City Council took steps Tuesday to restrict data center development, but WHRO's Toby Cox says the city will still need to iron out the details.
Council imposed an 8-month moratorium on data center applications last month, but a loophole in the city's zoning code could have allowed them. Council member Amanda Newens proposed closing that loophole, requiring data center applications to meet certain conditions and hold public meetings. The exact conditions, like setback distances from homes and noise limits, still need to be hashed out.
I don't think, though, simply requiring a conditional use permit is enough, and that's why I want us to take these 8 months ahead and really listen to the community.
The council unanimously approved Newens' ordinance, which also prohibits data center development around Fentress Airfield. Toby Cox, WHRO News.
A federal judge ruled this month that Shenandoah County must remove the names of Confederate generals from 2 schools, names the school board had removed in 2020 and re-added in 2024.
WHRO's Nick McNamara explores what that could mean for York County's Magruder Elementary School and Norfolk's Maury High.
Lee Reed is a lawyer with a firm that represented the NAACP and families that sued Shenandoah County. She says the back-and-forth renaming of the schools and the school board's acknowledgement of the name's discriminatory impact on Black and other minority students in 2020 makes it unique.
I'm not sure that I'm aware of any case with facts similar to this case that would mean that the implications of this case would impact that school.
Vivian Hamilton, a law professor at William & Mary, agrees. She says the case doesn't build a strong precedent, but how Reed and colleagues demonstrated the effect on Black students could buttress a later case elsewhere. Nick McNamara, WHRO News.
Norfolk Public Schools and the York County School Division are members of HRETA, which owns WHRO's broadcast license.
Norfolk Public Library's Larchmont branch has reopened following major renovations. WHRO's Brian Saunders breaks down the new amenities.
The library's got a brand new HVAC system, new computers, and a mural in the children's section. Branch manager Aaron Baker is excited to reconnect with the community after a year of construction.
I think you can really sense the investment in the community that this work represents.
The library has resumed regular hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Regular programming will begin in September for all age groups. Brian Saunders, WHRO News.
Many Virginia kids have gone to summer camp this year. For Virginia's Native Nations, it's become an opportunity to connect young people with their cultures and give them something meaningful to do while parents work. Megan Pauley with VPM News visited 2 tribal summer camps recently to see how that strategy is working out.
Jessica Stewart is taking campers on a mid-July nature walk around the Chickahominy Tribal Center grounds in Charles City County. She's pointing out elements of cultural significance along the way.
What have we been taught by our ancestors in order to make this a sacred space? Ellie?
Stopping near the powwow grounds where the tribe gathers to sing, dance, and honor their culture every September. She says the ground is first blessed with tobacco.
We also bless something else. What provides us music for the powwow? Drums?
Stewart is a citizen of the Chickahominy tribe. She started this culture camp 4 years ago, inspired by a Saturday morning program she attended growing up. It was called Indian School, and Stewart and her peers learned traditional crafts like beadwork, leather, and pottery, while also learning about the tribe's history, until the decades-long program ended in the early 2000s.
And so how could I bring that selfishly to my children? How can they have that same experience?
The Chickahominies' 6-week summer camp this year enrolled over 40 kids, ages 5 to 14. Campers take weekly field trips, including to Jamestown and the Virginia Living Museum in Newport News. They do traditional crafting, and they learn their native language, Algonquin.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on you.
After their morning walk, kids head back inside to prepare for language review and a beading workshop.
Maca. What's maca? Squash. Good deal, good deal. All right, let's see.
That's Tanya Stewart, another tribal citizen and Jessica's cousin. She's been teaching Algonquin to the kids and has been learning the language herself as part of an intertribal language revitalization project the Chickahominy tribe has been leading for the past few years. She says it's amazing to see the kids learning so quickly.
Because they're like sponges. They're picking it up, they're retaining it.
7-year-old Eden lists some of the Algonquin words she's learned so far.
We learned corn, like it was pacotoy, and we learned squash is maca, and beans is pacotowas, and chahip is bird.
Tanya Stewart says the camp helps kids understand their own identities. She didn't see her culture reflected in textbooks while growing up in Charles City County in the 1980s.
Going to school and in the books, learning that you don't exist. But then coming home, and Mama's teaching me this, how to do different things. Educational resources haven't caught up to real time.
Jessica Stewart says she tries to incorporate all of the tribe's history, the good and the uncomfortable, into the camp's lessons. Like how the tribe had to run its own school when segregation-era policies barred Native students from attending schools with white kids.
It's something that is very healing to my heart, to see these kids come together and be with their Native peers. and to be proud of who they are and to share that with other people.
Virginia's Upper Mattaponi tribe has also been running a summer camp for the last few years in King William County. Martin Sanica is the tribe's environmental and cultural resource specialist. He says the camp is an important way to let kids know that there are jobs and other leadership opportunities available within the tribe.
You've got to show kids as they're growing up and starting to think about what they want to do with their lives that, hey, here's all the opportunities you have to work for your own community, to better your community, to create the programs that you wanted to see, as a youth or as a young adult.
The camp isn't just focused on teaching historical traditions. Kids also learn what they can do to preserve their culture and environment today.
And so fishing and being a waterman is a huge part of a lot of these communities. And so teaching these kids what should or shouldn't be in the water is just kind of helping them secure that for the next generation.
Megan Pauley, VPM News.
High housing costs are straining senior adults everywhere. WHRO's Toby Cox reports that local leaders are suggesting people's spare bedrooms could be a part of the solution.
In Virginia, there are about 12 spare bedrooms for every older adult spending more than the recommended amount on rent. Candace Smith says that's an opportunity. She runs the program Home Share Oregon, which connects senior homeowners with other seniors who need housing.
Home sharing is an incredibly viable way to keep people in their homes and their communities where they want to be.
She says the arrangement is a win-win. The renter gets a home and the homeowner gets financial relief. Both get the benefit of companionship. Julie Dixon with the Planning Council in Hampton Roads says the council and Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia are discussing how the model in Oregon could be replicated locally.
It's going to need some dedicated staff and time and finding some extra funding.
But she says investing in a similar program could help struggling seniors in the region stay housed. Toby Cox, WHRO News.
The reigning Miss America returned to her home state of Virginia for an outdoor adventure and to share her love of arts education. WHRO's Ashley White was there.
Cassie Donegan sat below a towering scarecrow with her crown glittering in the sun at Hunt Club Farm in Virginia Beach. The Smithfield native captured the attention of the children while she read Hide and Seek Hetty, a book about a Highland cow dodging bath time.
Over with buckets of soapy water and scrubbing brushes.
After story time, Donegan posed for pictures with farm resident Starlight, a nearly 1-year-old mini Highland cow, sporting her own crown. Donegan then joined families under a big tree to bejewel tiaras and color.
Everyone has the right to creative expression, and it's our responsibility to give children equitable access to arts education.
At the Hunt Club Farm, families can learn about animals, agriculture, and nature. Even at 28, Donegan discovered that some goats don't have ears, and a few have an appetite for the Miss America crown. Ashley White, WHRO News.
A first-of-its-kind study exploring how airborne drones can help improve heart attack survival rates is running in rural James City County. WHRO's Nick McNamara gives us details on the program.
Unit OK.
Yep, it's ready to go. Unit's OK. From here, it's going to tell us to apply the pads to our patient.
Stay calm. Check responsiveness. Call for help.
That's Betsy Sink, Battalion Chief of EMS Operations for James City County Fire, demonstrating one of the automated defibrillators that county drones can fly to the scene of a heart attack around Toano.
The potential for it to save lives is huge. I think the amount of cardiac arrest patients that we could save, if this grew to a national program, could be tens of thousands.
Dr. Joseph Ornato, one of the study's leads and a longtime cardiac doctor, says about 10% of people who have heart attacks outside of hospitals survive. Every minute counts, and drones could make a difference. Test runs in James City made it to a call within 2 minutes, beating on-the-ground vehicles by 6 minutes.
It's proof of concept, and it's a model that is a replicatable model.
The American Heart Association is funding the research through the end of June 2027. Nick McNamara, WHRO News.
The northern Outer Banks has had a record number of sea turtle nests this year, and the season's not over yet. WHRO's Catherine Hafner traveled down to North Carolina to learn more.
The beach at Southern Shores is a bit quieter than other spots along the Outer Banks. It sits between the towns of Duck and Kitty Hawk. On this bright and humid day, volunteers with a nonprofit called Nest are checking on, a nest. It's a nondescript section of sand roped off by caution tape.
So every nest that's laid, we secure with stakes and the tape on the front so people know that it's a sea turtle nest.
That's Jerica Ray, Vice President of NEST, which stands for Network for Endangered Sea Turtles. The group is licensed with the state to monitor and protect sea turtle nests along 60 miles of beach from the Virginia border to Nags Head. This one, in Southern Shores, happens to be the latest to hatch. The evidence is in the sand.
This morning, we actually had a few turtles emerge from this nest, so there's some beautiful tracks leading down to the ocean.
They call this the runway, the path from the nest to the water.
You can see that they kind of all stay in the same direction. They kind of veer off. They fan out a little bit, but head straight to where they're supposed to go.
The nesting season stretches from May through August. Mama sea turtles briefly come ashore to lay their eggs. About 2 months later, hatchlings emerge and shuffle their way into the water. Officials have found 56 nests so far. That's a record since counting started in 2009. Most are loggerheads. Some are green sea turtles. The area also got a rare visit from a giant leatherback. It could be the same one that recently nested at the Dam Neck Naval Station in Virginia Beach, the first time that's ever been recorded in Virginia. On their 60-mile stretch of beach, the nonprofit Nest starts with daily ATV patrols. Here's Director Jennifer Claflin.
We'll be out there looking for the tracks, and if we see tracks and nesting activity, a phone call will go out on our hotline to volunteers to come and respond.
They verify it's a nest, mark it off, and watch it for the next few months. As a nest approaches hatching, volunteers monitor it more closely. The first sign is a depression in the sand, meaning the eggs are moving around. Claflin says they call it an initial boil because the shifting sand looks like lava starting to bubble up. Hatchlings like to move under the cover of darkness to evade predators, but if they time it right, volunteers like Lisa Jackson can get a glimpse.
They look like little Oreos and like, there's one, but it's just a big black mob going to the beach. That's all you see.
Nest runs a 24-hour hotline. Sometimes calls come in about a stranded or injured turtle. When that happens, the nonprofit takes the creatures to the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. Deputy Director Christian Legner is standing in the aquarium's Sea Turtle Assistance and Rehabilitation Center. It's filled with large water tanks.
Right now we have 2 juvenile green sea turtles in here.
These patients are named Mystique and Rogue. They came in with barnacles embedded in their skin. One needed antibiotics to clear an infection, but they should be ready to return to the wild soon. The aquarium has handled more than 2,700 turtles since it started treating them in 2015. That includes turtles struck by boats, choking on plastic, or hooked by fishing gear. But Legner says the busiest season is winter, which causes cold stunning.
When it gets below 50 degrees, the turtles kind of float to the surface, kind of like hypothermia.
Staff help the turtles warm up, give them supportive fluids, and run blood work. When needed, the aquarium can take turtles to the human hospital in Elizabeth City for CT scans. Legner says sea turtles are very resilient. They can often be released with only 3 flippers or 1 eye. She says doing all the treatment publicly has another benefit.
People can come and see a sea turtle in front of them. They can understand some of the threats and maybe make a change in their life.
For example, avoiding single-use plastics could stop turtles from having to come here in the first place and allow them to make more nests on the beach instead. Catherine Hafner, WHRO News.
You've been listening to WHRO's Weekly Edition. We had help today from WHRO's Toby Cox, Catherine Hefner, Nick McNamara, Brian Saunders, Steve Walsh, Yi-Ching Wang, and Ashley White.
Jay Price with the American Homefront Project, and VPM's Megan Pauley. Also Connor Worley, who produced today's show. A reminder that you can always catch full episodes on the Weekly Edition podcast feed.
You can get your news updates at WHRO.org and the WHRO Reports podcast feed. For all of us at WHRO and WHRV, I'm Barry Graham.
And I'm Jordan Christie. Have a great weekend.